Here we are at the 24th Annual La Jolla Conference, and I'm Jeremy Martin, Director of the Energy Program, and we're really happy to have with us this year Mauricio de la Mora from Colombia. Mauricio, great to have you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's an extraordinary conference. It's the very first time I'm attending, and it's amazing the level of people and speakers that you have here.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. And you're one of those.
Thank you very much.
Well, you took over the National Hydrocarbons Agency of Colombia, which that agency was created about 10 years ago as part of famous reforms in Colombia to open up and increase investment in the Colombian oil and gas sector. You took over the job of president 2 months ago tomorrow.
Correct.
What I want to talk to you about is, what are you doing? What is your vision? What are your objectives in this new role for you? Because you've been in the private sector for years, and I think this is your first public sector job. What's your vision?
Absolutely, yes. I quit after 26 years in the private sector, excuse me. I just moved to the public one. I'll tell you what my objectives are. I believe that nowadays, we being an state agency, we cannot continue being only an state agency, that we regulate and we dictate their norms or regulations jointly with the Ministry of Mine of Energy that we are part of. We need to move a little bit forward in a sense that we need to keep the investment in the country. Regardless of the low prices that we're living right now, because the geopolitical issues, etc., or surplus in inventories, definitively we need to move to a stage that we have to become partners of our partners, the operators. We need to help them to produce in a cleaner manner, safer manner, of course always under the regulation of a very strict environmental, social, and legal frame.
Okay.
Saying this, we want all the guys, all the operators to come to talk to us to discuss what kind of problems they're facing, because here we are to solve as partners, to work together.
Well, and I want to come back to that, because first I want to ask you about competition, because you in your address, your keynote speech last night, you were very forthright and you said, look, we need to do certain things because we are competing. We are competing with countries in the hemisphere. We are competing globally. What are you doing to make Colombia more competitive? Because for a few years, Colombia was receiving all kinds of positive attention because of its competition factor. What are you doing to recover that?
Well, you just noticed through the other presentations, we have seen that Argentina is moving ahead, Mexico is moving ahead, Venezuela is doing stuff, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, all the guys in the area are moving ahead with new regulation. Recently, we released the agreement number 2. That agreement is to help the industry to extend the periods of exploration and commerciality declaration. We implement, for instance, that you will have the opportunity to shift, to move from one block to another block your investment, but the investment, the amount will remain exactly the same.
Okay.
There's no way that you can decrease or diminish that one. But because of social problems or low geological interpretation or data in the area, you have the opportunity to shift that one. At the same time, we put together the free trade zones that will give a bunch of help in the taxation issues for companies offshore. So we are putting some rules to help the industry with some flexibility to allow them to continue producing and putting more barrels on surface, standard cubic feet of gas. My idea is that if those guys produce in the way that we need it, we will have the opportunity to help the national treasury collecting money from that purpose.
I'm sure Minister Cardenas appreciates that.
We all appreciate that.
Look, the issue you raised in terms of, I think, some of the contract extensions comes from this issue of delays. I know that A&H is not the only agency responsible in this regard, but what are you doing both in terms of your new government function and personally to address some of these issues? Because I heard a number the other day that 76% of investments is bottlenecked, is sort of frozen in terms of the upstream investment in Colombia. Now, not all of that is because of environmental or community, but a large part of that impact, I think, is being felt. So you've only got 1/4 of the investment that's flowing.
Yes, you're right. Actually, what we're doing is just because this is something that we got a direction from the president, from the Ministry of Mines. We need to help the industry.
Yeah.
In order to do that, we are activating and articulating the whole system. The Minister of Environment, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Minister of Labor, Ministry of Mines and Energy, the National Licensing Agency, and the
AMLA, is that AMLA?
ANLA, that's the ANLA, and we are putting together a strategy, some kind of a task strike force to help to solve all these problems. We know that we have had some delays on the environmental licensing. We're working together jointly with the environmental entities to sort that out.
Okay.
So we're moving in the right direction, the whole government towards the same goal: better production, keep investment in the country, and make the country more attractive for those guys to remain in the country as operators.
We're running out of time, but just in a couple of sentences, what's more important in the future, the next, say, couple of years in Colombia, or 3, 4, 5 years? Offshore or unconventionals?
Wow, difficult question. Difficult question, Jeremy. We need both. But of course, we need to discuss how we're going to put together a really nice legal regulatory frame from both. For Colombia, the unconventional and offshore are two new words.
Yep.
that we need help from outside, learning from experience from Gulf of Mexico, Canada, USA, etc. Eventually from Argentina, they have been quite successful in Vaca Muerta. We need to do something that both parties, the civil part, the public part, the environmentalist, the government, will be happy to discuss on the table with clear rules for both parties.
Fantastic. I think both is a gret answer. We call that the all-of-the-above energy strategy here in the U.S.
Absolutely.
Mauricio de la Mora, we are delighted to have you here this year at the La Jolla Conference, and hope to see you again next year and many years after that.
Once again, thank you very much for the invitation, Jeremy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.